Welcome back to the Keep PounDEN post-game, everyone. I am your host, Den, alongside Bobby tonight. Keep PounDEN is, of course, powered by the Riot Network, powered by Ortho Carolina, and hey, we do this after every Panthers game. Tonight was a fun one. I got my man Bobby here with me. We're gonna break it down, but quickly for those of you joining in for the first time, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and however you listen to your podcasts all throughout the week. We're usually joined here by Chris as well. I'm at Keep PounDEN on Twitter. Bobby's at Tacos and Slurpees. And Chris is at PepperJackNBB. But hey, man, let's get right into it. We don't have Bobby on video tonight, but we do have him on the phone. What's happening, my man? At least I think we have him on the phone. There he is.
Yeah. What's going on? Yeah, man, I'm here.
Dude, man, it's hey, I gotta give props to you, Bobby. You, a few days ago, threw out that we're going to hang 30 on this team. And the Panthers, of course did. What made you so sure of that early in the week, man?
I know everything.
You do?
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Basically, the main thing that made me confident about this game, it was just something different about the energy. I don't know if guys and gals were looking at the energy in the practice this week from the video clips, and it was just a little bit different. It seems like that Philly game really woke them up, the comments from Cam Newton after the Philly game, and it all started to make sense. It's like they saw what happened in that Redskins game, and they realized if we ever get behind like this again, we got to capitalize. Cam said that himself. Then they got behind like that again, and he capitalized. Mm-hmm. And I think they saw we can avoid a lot of this if we can just say, hey, let's have a good first half and let's have a good second half. And I think the guys really woke up. It was something about that win that I could see when those guys were running off the field. I knew we wouldn't have to deal with that again, and I just felt like they were going to bring the pressure. And honestly, man, when people seem to big up other teams like, oh, they're the number one defense, for some super strange reason, Cam seems to feed off of that, and our defense likes to say, hey, don't forget about us. And it's just amazing, man. I just had a great feeling about it today.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a team that plays up and down to their competition, I'd say it's the Carolina Panthers. And I tweeted out earlier today that, this is the team that terrified me. Is the team that looks good all game and then has a 2-score lead going into the fourth. We've seen that go the wrong way a few times, but lately, we can be down 17 points in the fourth quarter and we're not so worried about it. So kind of a new team here. And that's a great point here. Again, if you guys join us here in the post game, what we do is we bring your comments on. So feel free to throw us anything you want, whether you're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Let us know. Such as this one. Oh, that one came in really big. But hey, what's up, Wes? We did play all four quarters today. Finally, you haven't seen that from this Panthers team. It's either been one way or the other. Just like I was saying, last year it was we can play 3 of the early quarters. Fourth quarter made us tear our hearts out. This year it's we sit in the agony of the first 3 quarters and then this team comes alive. But Cam Newton said this team needs to start fast. That's something that they did today, I think, even though they did go down early. First possession, Ravens actually moved the ball probably in that possession better than they did the whole game. But Cam really responded, and one of the bigger things that's kind of surprising here when I look at the stat sheet here, number 1 on your receiver sheet today is DJ Moore, 5 receptions for 90 yards. And I guess it counted as a run, but he did have that 39 yards rushing today. You talked about Torrey Smith being out, the guys getting their chances. Do you think that was what kind of equaled DJ Moore stats today, or do you think that he's just becoming that guy regardless of Torrey?
No, he's not going to become that guy regardless of Torrey. I have made this comment probably for the last 2 or 3 weeks. You will not see the greatness of DJ Moore unless you see the absence of Torrey Smith. And that's not to knock anything from Torrey Smith. We saw what he's made of in the fourth quarters of the Washington and the Philly game. But reality is DJ Moore needs the open opportunity, not just the, hey, we're going to slide you in, but he needs to he's that guy that needs to have the entire game. Mm-hmm. Don't just insert him when you're ready to, experiment. Like, he's the guy that deserves and needs the entire game and a game plan around him. And I said it before, I'll say it again. DJ Moore will not be the true DJ Moore that we need to see on the football field with Torrey Smith lurking. And it's not because of Torrey Smith, but it's for the simple fact that when Torrey Smith is in the game, we run some of the most basic routes and the most basic offense you would want to see in the National Football League. with him out, when you see Curtis Samuel come in, you see DJ Moore, you see Jarius Wright, you start to see the creativity from Norv Turner. That first half was creativity that we've never seen outside of when we used to run the Wildcat. And I'm talking D'Angelo Williams and those guys. That was the last time we really seen creativity like that. We haven't seen creativity in a long time, and it was great to see it. And it's not ironic that we did it with Torrey Smith out. It's just a fact that we can't have a creative offense with him there.
Well, speaking of the Wildcat and all that, what was that stat that you sent me today about McCaffrey and D'Angelo Williams?
That stat was in reference to, give me just a moment. Joe Person tweeted this out. Mm-hmm. Christian McCaffrey has tied Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams for the most receiving touchdowns by a running back in Panthers history, and it's just his second season. So, and that record was 8, by the way. So there you go.
Christian McCaffrey, finally a big game today as far as touchdowns go. 2 touchdowns. One of them was a little... I don't know what you want to call that one. I guess I don't want to throw the word luck out there, but pretty aggressive move there by Christian. But you're starting to see a Panthers offense that doesn't need Christian McCaffrey to move the sticks. One thing that I really like about DJ Moore is he's a guy that can take a wide receiver screen with a guy right on him and truck him for 5 more yards. There was one early in the game, and I tweeted out that a lot of people don't get that first down.
Right.
I like the way that DJ runs with the ball. He's, you see people, I'm not going to compare him to Cam Newton, but when Cam's running and there's 2 defenders there, a lot of players would be down, but instead Cam brings them forward with him. I think you see that when DJ Moore runs the ball. He's not like and I'm not really knocking those guys because this is kind of a rare trait for a wide receiver, but you're not going to give the ball to Curtis Samuel or Damiere Byrd and have them, drag a guy with them for 5 yards. But people like DJ Moore can do that. And I think that was pretty valuable today, just being able to get a screen and get maybe 9 or so yards where, I don't know, probably went for 4, really, if you're looking at, kind of how things go in those kinds of screens. But,
right.
And you know what? That's a great point. It's from Twitter here. DJ he's so smooth running the ball. He doesn't look like he's running hard, but he is. And I totally agree with that. He just looks very calm. And I know actually calm's a weird word for Panthers fans watching him run with the ball because of what happened in Washington, what happened in the preseason when he ran backwards, got a little too flashy. But when he has the ball in space and he's looking for holes, I totally agree with that. He looks very smooth with the ball, and he looks very strong with the ball. Which is, as far as people, I don't know, punching the ball out, I guess you can be nervous of that. But I think DJ Moore can take a couple hits and still hold on to it. I don't put those 2 fumbles in Washington on him not being tough. You know what I mean? So.
Well, just want to interject for a minute.
Uh-oh.
The comment made about CMC, we do need him on this offense. 2 of those big passes.
Oh, I didn't say we don't need him. I said you've seen this team not be able to function without getting him the ball. Don't need him is the wrong term. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think the reason we're able to function is because of him. And when he doesn't get the ball, like 2 of those passes to Greg Olsen, those chunk yardage passes, all eyes were on Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, he drew like 3 or 4 eyes. And it was almost unbelievable how wide open Greg Olsen was. And when I went back and looked at the plays, like 3 or 4 eyes, including 2 linebackers, a cornerback, and a defensive end, followed Christian McCaffrey. He wasn't even getting the ball.
No, I get the decoy part of that.
And he's just as important with the ball as he is without.
Just to clarify myself, this comment right here, we I don't even know what 11,000% need CMC. I didn't say we don't need Christian McCaffrey. I said it's nice to see Cam not have to look where he is on the field at all times and only be able to get first downs by getting him the ball, kind of like we saw in some games last year. Let's be honest. If Christian McCaffrey wasn't on the Panthers last year, they would have lost a lot more games. This year, if you want to talk to him in that decoy mode, fine. But I'm just saying it's nice to be able to get guys the ball, have them get a first down, and McCaffrey not be in the play, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. So
Yeah, I think it shows our growth for the most part, and I think it shows how guys can feed off of another guy, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, man. Like it hasn't, I haven't seen such a dynamic offense in a long time. I mean, last year we were so one dimensional. Coming into this season, the first two games, I felt like we were still one dimensional with Christian McCaffrey, but again, and I hate to say it, man, the absence of Torrey Smith really speaks volumes.
yeah, I don't like that though because Torrey is a big part of why this team was even in the Philly and Washington games. If you want to talk about weeks 1 through 3, fine. But I think I want Torrey Smith back out there. I'm not going to be on the boat that's like with him hurt, Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore can play. That's fine. But let's be honest here. I mean, Torrey Smith had some big plays in Washington, so I'm not going to rule that out.
I mean, that's what I was. Yeah, well, that's what I was mentioning earlier. I'm not saying he's not a playmaker. We saw what he did in the fourth quarter of Washington and Philly. But here's my thing: if DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel was starting in his position in those games, do we get down by double digits? Right? Because the reason we were down is because guys weren't getting open and the offense wasn't creative. So as much kudos and credit as I give to Torrey Smith for his comeback, and I mentioned it earlier, and I'll always mention it, we don't make those comebacks without him. I still wonder how much did he play into us going into that hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know Washington, DJ, people are going to bring up DJ, but when you look at the Philly game and you look at the first half offense, it was stagnant. And you ask the question about why it was stagnant, I beg someone to go back and look at Torrey Smith in the first 2 quarters of those games, and you let me know if you see anything that's impressive. Fourth quarter, absolutely. But if you look at the first half of those games, you let me know if you're impressed by what you see. Well, and my question is,
go ahead, Bobby. Finish that. No, finish your point. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, if he doesn't start, do we get down by 17 in the first place?
Well, this goes hand in hand with what we talked about on Thursday's podcast or Wednesday's podcast was in the beginning of games, and this wasn't the case today, but in the beginnings of previous games, you literally saw 2 wide receiver sets. You didn't see the bunch. You didn't see more than 2 receivers on the field at a time. And it was Torrey and Devin Funchess. And I think that when you roll that offense out, fine. You can call out Torrey all you want, but I don't really think that's fair. Because Torrey Smith starts making an impact when there is more guys out there. So, yeah, if you're going to roll out Devin Funchess and Torrey Smith and you're going to be mad at Torrey Smith for not producing, that's fine, but I don't think that's on Torrey Smith. I think that's on the offensive scheme. I think that's on the play calls. Remember this week we were talking about Devin Funchess being a number 1 receiver, and I said, well, how many times have we seen Cam in the first half only have Devin Funchess or Christian McCaffrey to go to? Neither of them are open, and he takes a sack. And what I'm getting from you is that's where you're calling Torrey Smith out, and I don't think that's really fair.
Well, I'm not necessarily calling Torrey out because he doesn't call the plays. And he doesn't decide who starts and who plays slot, who plays out. He doesn't determine any of that. So there's not a knock on Torrey. And like I said, kudos to him for what he's done to kickstart 2 major comebacks. I'm just stating if he starts, which he doesn't determine, if he doesn't start, what happens? Do we ever get down 17 in that game? And like I said, I mentioned this 2 weeks ago before the Washington game. I mentioned this. The offense becomes creative when he's not on the field. Torrey Smith doesn't play finally for a game. We get to see what the offense looks like. Well, I'm not saying finally like I'm glad he's hurt, but just saying he's not there, so we finally get to see what we look like without him. And we're all blown away. We're in disbelief. It's the DJ Moore that we expected the moment we drafted him. And all of a sudden next week when he comes back, then if you see that same offense that we've seen the first half of the season, people are going to be pissed. And I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence that I made this comment 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now he's not here. And now we see the offense we've been waiting for. I'm tired of that. He's on the field for 2 quarters and we get nothing. And then in the second half, all of a sudden he's such an asset to the team. It just reminds me of Andrew Luck. You put your team behind. You're part of the reason your team falls behind. And then you dig a comeback. You start digging yourself out of the hole and making a comeback.
You're so unfair to Andrew Luck. You hate Andrew Luck.
No, I don't hate Andrew Luck. You know what my gripe is with Andrew Luck? My problem with Andrew Luck is
He
I'm
gets them
tired of
out of
people
the. You
ranking
said
him.
it before. Yeah, he
Yeah,
pulls them out
I'm
of
just
the
tired of him
holes that
being
he
ranked
put
over
them in.
Cam.
Is your point? Yeah.
Yeah, tired
Yeah.
of him being ranked over Cam. He ain't better than Cam.
Well, hey Bobby, I got a question for you then. All right,
Yeah.
so Torrey Smith, you're obviously saying when he's not on the field, things open up. Trade deadline's coming up on Wednesday. A lot of talk was about C.J. Anderson. I don't think they're going to trade C.J. Anderson. So, Shakeda asked us, Bobby, then if you don't think he should be on the field, is he trade bait? That's my question to you because I'm kind of calling you, not really calling you out, but you've talked about how you love his veteran leadership, but you don't like him playing. So
I didn't say I don't like him playing. I didn't say that.
Well, you
I'm
said
just
when
saying
he's not on the field, things open up. So theoretically, you don't see a positive use for him.
Well, here's my thing. I like to see him situational. That's my problem. I think he plays entirely too much. To me, he's a situational wide receiver. I do not feel like I love his veteran leadership in the locker room, on the field, for what he's already started doing in the city. I love it. For the fact that he was a huge piece into getting Eric Reed here, I love it. But we have to look at the reality of it. Like, that doesn't mean just because I think he's a great person or I think he was good in a comeback that he deserves to start. No, he doesn't deserve to start, and that's just reality. He doesn't. He deserves a spot on this team, yes. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm just saying stop playing him so freaking much. He doesn't deserve to play that much. Like, we got to stop. Like, this guy plays, I don't know how many snaps a game. In some games, he'll leave with one catch and, like, 3 drops. Like, we got to stop that stuff. Like, we got to stop being blind just because he's on our team. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm just saying he shouldn't play as much. And we need to give the guys like Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, the guys who we have seen make plays while they're covered, not when they're wide open, who can't catch the ball when they're wide open. We need to give the guys who make plays, who can extend a play that should have ended in 2 yards to, an additional 5, 6, 7 yards. We've seen that multiple times from DJ Moore already. And, I mean, you can rewind back to that game. I could think it was against the Giants when, Curtis Samuel broke 6 tackles and scored. I mean, just the simple stuff like that we're not going to get from Torrey Smith. And it's just a la Ron Rivera. He always does this. He loves playing old veterans over young guys with potential. And it's nothing new. That's just my problem with it. I don't think he should leave. I just think we need to give our young guys opportunity.
Fair enough. No, I agree with that. I was just making sure. Cam preached about starting fast. Today was the first time they started fast, and no coincidence, Torrey Smith didn't start. So, the problem is when we signed Peppers, I think a lot of people thought Peppers would be more of a situational guy, but if there isn't anyone behind you, you have to be the player there, and I think that does not apply to Torrey Smith. I think he actually can be situational. So totally agree with that. Hey, let's talk about Cam though. A lot of comments coming in about Cam Newton back in the MVP talk. 21 to 29 today. I think that's 72.4% completion percentage for the completion percentage brigade. But 219 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Did a lot more on his legs today, though. That run was pretty good, and I liked how they did a couple of those. The Lion was free today. How'd you feel about Cam today, just overall? Really, nothing to rip him apart. I don't know what I'm gonna do in my Den Hates the Panthers segment this week because no bonehead plays today by Cam. I thought he played pretty well, really well actually. Got to the ground a lot. Didn't take a lot of hits. I sit with my buddies watching the game who are Patriots fans that say he needs to stop taking hits. And my thing is, I don't think he really takes a lot of hard hits, but he does get, he does initiate contact more than he should. Today he got to the ground a lot, which you can't hate seeing your quarterback do. And a lot of the throws were open. Great schemes by Norv today, but yeah, I don't know, man. Is a lot of talk from even the haters like Coward and Skip about Cam. They're kind of backpedaling on him holding them back. What do you think? What do you think about Cam now? Can we start even talking about him being in the MVP discussion, or is this too early?
That's far too early, man. I think we can.
I'm only asking because people in the comments are asking. That's all.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. I mean, we can start talking about it like week 12, week 13 right now. Those guys are going to be looking at Mahomes, Brady, Even Jared Goff is going to be in that conversation. Drew Brees, people like that, they're going to be in there because they're in high-power offenses weekly. We're in a high-power offense once every 5 games. And while we talk about the most valuable player award is never given to the most valuable player, it's given to the player with the best stats.
That's right.
And that's more than likely going to be the quarterback on one of the most high-powered offenses. It happens every year, it never fails. If it was based upon MVP, Cam Newton would have had 4 by now. Or at least 3 by now if it was based upon most valuable player. But who brings the most value to their team? But one thing I want to do, I'm one of the biggest Cam Newton advocates that probably walks this earth. But I want to do something. I want us to stop pretending like Cam Newton is in his 2nd or 3rd year. He's in his 8th season. This is what he should be doing with North Turner. There shouldn't be a, weekly, oh my gosh, he looks so great. Like, we should expect this. This is 8 seasons in. And I love Cam Newton just as much as the next person. You guys know I do. I post his stats weekly. I go through his records weekly. I talk great about him. I will go at anybody over him.
Dude, you know what? Have to stop it. Have you ever argued with a midday radio producer or a radio voice about it? Oh, you have. You did that.
Yes,
you did that this week. Nice.
and I'm inviting them to the show, by the way. So hopefully we get around.
Yeah, we'll bring on Josh.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. We got to stop acting like Cam is some 20-year-old rookie. He's not. And Cam Newton is paired with an offensive coordinator who's going to play to his strengths and the weaknesses. Go ahead.
I was going to say, my new favorite thing is I have an Eagles friend that I'm just going to keep calling out until he shuts up, is that he says Cam's a good running back. So every week I'm going to post Cam's running back, passing stats, because that's just what I'm going to do. But go ahead.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, a lot of Falcons fans say that too, but it is what it is. I really don't. It's so irritating that I've decided to just do my best to stop responding to those people because it drives me crazy. But yeah, to the people who are talking about Cam Newton, this is what we expect Cam Newton to look like in his 8th season. When we heard North Turner was coming over, we spoke about it on the podcast during the summer. We expected to see a more efficient Cam Newton, less turnovers, less high passes. We expected this. We expected more passes on target. And, while we're giving credit to Cam Newton, we also have to realize that if this were the offensive line from last year, we wouldn't be seeing any of this. Yeah. This is the offensive line that's protecting Cam Newton. They are doing an amazing job, and Cam Newton is taking advantage of it. And, again, this is the Cam Newton that we expected. I do not think we should be, mind blown, because it's still, I think we saw the best Cam Newton in 2015, so we know what he's capable of. So this is just, a reminder, hey, Cam's still here. Just block for the man. He's still here. And this is what we expected, man. Like I said, 8 seasons in, we expect this.
Yeah, offensive line played really well today. I'm actually looking. No sacks again by the Ravens. Is that right? No sacks set up today. That's what I'm looking at on the stats sheet here.
They came in. Yeah, they came in leading the league in sacks. I think it was 27 sacks they had, and they got zilch today. They got nothing.
Yeah, the fast dinosaur today, Devin. Eric, our pal Eric Weddle over there with that comment. Although Eric Weddle did like our video, so that was cool. I do.
Yeah, he did, which is pretty dope.
I'm a huge fan of Eric Weddle, and actually, you posted that stat today. He's up there in the all-time active tackle leaders with 3 Panthers and 2. Is it 2 Ravens? Yeah, Suggs was in there too. So.
Yeah, the almost Panther Eric Weddle, right?
Right. Yeah, he should have been a Panther in my mind. But hey, looking at the stat,
I think he should have.
Looking at the stat sheet here: DJ Moore, Greg Olsen, Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, Ian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Jarius Wright. They all have something in common today, Bobby. They had a reception. Demir Bird was thrown a ball and was held, so I'll give him that one as well. But hey, I believe that's 7 receivers there. You don't see that in a Panthers offense a lot. So while we're on that topic, kind of midway through the season here, I know it was a big topic coming into the season. Everyone was kind of up in arms about the Norv Turner signing. I've watched enough breakdowns. I know Baldy breakdowns and all that. The way that Norv Turner has this offense running, and it scares me in a way, but I keep saying it's like chess. He's going to keep doing one thing during the game for a while so that when he runs it, when he needs it, it works. And we've seen that with runs. We've seen that with him creating motion to, say, a strong side and then going reverse to the weak side, whereas all game he's been going to that side. So let's talk about Norv Turner. Now that we've had 8 weeks or so to kind of grade where he is. It might have been a slow start, but now that you're seeing what he can do with certain people like DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, it's again I didn't say we don't need Christian McCaffrey, but it's not a. I mean, look what happened in Jacksonville when Leonard Fournette went out. That team stopped functioning. That's what you want to be as a team, though, to avoid that, right? You don't want to lose Christian McCaffrey and lose your whole offense. And I think that this last year you could say that, but I think Norv's doing it right. Go ahead, Bobby.
No, I was going to say, I mean, everybody's ragging on Jacksonville, but people keep forgetting he lost his number 1 and number 2 receiver this offseason. He lost both of his top 2 targets. So, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I think people are too hard on Blake Bortles. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. I've also think I figured out what Norv Turner is doing. You notice we were like DJ Moore heavy in the first half, and then he just disappeared in the second half. Like, I think he's doing stuff to see what works with DJ Moore, and then he's pulling it. Like, no, I'm not going to show y'all everything. And I think he does stuff with Curtis Samuel to say, okay, if I need to do this later in the season or in the playoffs, yes, playoffs. I said playoffs. If I need to do this late in the season or playoffs, I know it works. And it's like he gives you a little taste of what it will look like once he's ready to open the playbook. And then he snatches it back.
Yeah.
And he does it every time, and it leaves us like, what in the world? But it's like he's testing things.
Well, I believe it's not Baldy's breakdowns. It's another one. I think it's Matt Bowen. Shows how in the same game, he ran 3 completely different runs out of the same exact formation with the same exact snap motion. And that's awesome. You know what I mean? So, like, the problem is you kind of have to sit through it not working for it to work. And that is tough sometimes as a fan. One thing I do want to talk about now, though, is I called it our let's kill Christian McCaffrey offense. You know what? People talk about C.J. Anderson, whether you're going to trade him, whether he's useful. Let me tell you one thing. If you're trying to run the game out and you're just going to smash a running back into the line to kill the time, I don't want it to be Christian McCaffrey. Like, what were they doing? Was it the fourth quarter, I think, late in the game, or maybe late in the third? Christian McCaffrey literally had 3 carries, tough carries, getting hit at the ankles and, in the shoulders. You can't use him as that back. Like, you need something. You need an Alex Arma, or if CJ's still on the team come, Wednesday, hopefully I believe he should be. I don't think you have to worry about him going anywhere, but I know that when people talk about things we don't need, it's CJ Anderson. So, did that bother you, Bobby? Is like I don't think you should be doing kill the clock runs with one of your biggest weapons.
Yeah. I mean, I tweeted that out earlier. I said there's no reason that Christian McCaffrey should be running right now. CJ Anderson isn't, because one thing that pisses me off is you're making Christian McCaffrey like take unnecessary hits, and those guys, to me, I thought they started hitting him a little bit more harder when we were trying to waste the clock out because they were pissed off. Secondly, there's no CJ Anderson. Every time he touches the ball, he gets like he gets you like 4 or 5 plus yards. Like, give the man the ball. The game is over with. Let him run the ball. Let him take those hits. He's built for those hits. To me,
I always
Christian
feel
McCaffrey
so bad.
Isn't built for those hits.
Like, I feel so bad when people are in that role. Like when I play Madden, I pick my fastest kick returner that I don't care if he gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a terrible human being being like, throw C.J. Anderson in there. If he gets hurt, it doesn't matter. But that kind of goes into it.
I don't mean it that way. But
right.
Yeah, I don't mean it like, oh, man, if he gets hurt, it doesn't matter. Because I think, personally, come January, when we're in the playoffs, we're going to need him. Especially if we go somewhere super cold, or, we can't throw the ball. For example, we got to go to, like, Philly in January. We're going to need him. Just simple stuff like that. But I just feel like that's his type of game. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that you give the ball to waste the clock. He's that guy. He's built for that. He was brought in for stuff like that. I believe you give him that opportunity, man. I just thought, running CMC, and it was just like the same play up the middle every time. Like, that was too much, man.
Yeah. Anyway, we have about 10 minutes left, guys. We want to know if you have any final questions. Throw them in the chat here. We'll pull a couple of them on. But let's look ahead real quick. Going into Pittsburgh, That's the next game, right? I believe that's Thursday night, Pittsburgh.
Is it Tampa Bay next?
Is it?
Tampa Bay next, and then we got Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at my away schedule here. Yeah. Tampa, hey, man, Jameis Winston benched. So that was kind of fun to see today. But right, we'll see. Maybe we'll get some Fitz magic here.
More than likely not. I think they're gonna give Jameis one more shot before the trade deadline. What is the trade deadline?
He threw 4 picks today. I don't think they're gonna trade him. I honestly think that if they cut Jameis Winston, would anyone pick him up?
You really think nobody will pick? People pick Brock Osweiler up.
He threw 4 picks and was in a very questionable off the field situation over the summer, to which he couldn't play the first 3-4 games. Care. Okay,
man, listen.
I'm just saying, who's gonna pick him up?
How many quarterbacks? Who won't pick him up? I can see the Patriots picking him up. I can see the Browns picking him up. Like, here's the thing. Like, you got to look at the age of Jameis Winston. It's not like he's 30, 31, 32 doing this stuff. And then on top of that, you have to think as a head coach. I'm like, he played in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Like, what about Tampa Bay says discipline and structure? Nothing. But we don't know how he would look if he had a coach that was a tenured coach.
Yeah, I mean, look at Josh
if
Gordon.
He had a coach
I guess you're right.
Cared.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I mean, it's always about circumstance as well. I mean, we don't know how he would have looked if he would have went to Tennessee instead of Tampa Bay when they had those picks. Who's to say flip-flop situations? Mariota wouldn't look like trash right now.
In my Skip Bayless statement, I think Jameis Winston's NFL days are coming to an end. That's my take.
That's tough. That's tough, man.
I said it in the beginning of the year.
I
said it when he was suspended, Bobby.
I
said it when he was suspended. He didn't play. Now he's played. He threw 4 picks today, was benched. His team almost came back and won. Who's looking at that being like, that's my guy?
How many quarterbacks have we seen that happen to in their first few years, yet they get opportunities? We never thought we'd see Brock Osweiler get another opportunity.
I mean, Jameis Winston has been in the league enough years. He's not a rookie here. I mean,
I get it, but what has he – here's my thing. Has Jameis Winston been a horrible quarterback? He hasn't been a horrible quarterback. Like, if you look at his numbers, he's not horrible. He may not be, ideally great, but he's not a horrible quarterback. Like, even when you play against Jameis Winston, you don't go into that game saying, I know for a fact Jameis ain't going to do a thing. Like, you never know what you're going to get with him. And I personally believe with some form of structure, he can be a better quarterback. And maybe that's just me. I believe the same thing with Derek Carr. If he gets out of Oakland and he gets on a team that has structure and he can get some solid discipline at the quarterback position, I truly believe he can be a better quarterback. I think Jameis Winston he's in an organization that has no consistency whatsoever. They don't care. They've shown you that they don't care. Yes, they've made some good moves. They've made some good signings, free agents, trades, draft picks, all of that good stuff, but it's gotten them nowhere. They're continuously in the hole. And I believe if he sees the light of a different franchise, he could turn around. He could be a better player and a better person. Can I guarantee that? No.
Okay.
But like you just mentioned, the Josh Gordon situation, everybody needs a change of scenery.
True. So he's okay, fine. Scenery, personal things, fine. But hey, Jameis Winston throws the football to Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and Howard. So I don't feel bad for him. I don't.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him either. I'm just saying I think he needs a change of scenery. But I mean, I'm not gonna feel bad for him. He arguably has probably the best weapons in the South outside of Atlanta, because I think his weapons are better than the Saints. So as far as names are concerned, he probably has some of the best weapons in the South. But outside, of course, his running game is a suspect with Peyton Barber and those guys. But I don't know, man. I think I also think the fluke that we saw in Fitzpatrick and the fluke that we saw from him today, I think that also changes a lot of people's minds about Jameis as well. Fitzpatrick does just enough to keep his name mentioned. The Bengals didn't plan for Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick came in and they completely opened up a different playbook. If you see the plays that they called with Fitzpatrick, they were nothing like the routes that Mike Evans and those guys were running earlier. They were nothing like that. Mm-hmm. Nothing like that at all. So the playbook changes when Fitzpatrick comes in the game, which makes the Bengals go into a totally different defense. Now they have to go into a prevent, hoping they can keep them back. That's what cued that comeback. Let's not forget what we were just saying about Fitzpatrick 2 weeks ago. And it's the same thing with him. He comes in out of nowhere. Nobody's expecting it, and he lights it up. He won't do it again. It's just circumstantial.
All right, fine then. And hey, what's up, Mr. T Money, one of our friends over on Twitter. But he wants to know then. Fine, Bobby. Let's just ask the final question. Who starts against the Panthers next week?
That's probably Jameis. But then again, here's the thing.
No, it can't be. You can't start Jameis Winston next week. You can't.
If I'm wrong, but he's your franchise quarterback. What do you mean you can't start your franchise quarterback?
Your franchise quarterback just threw 4 picks today.
I don't care. Cam is throwing 4 picks. Does that mean you need to put him on the bench?
No, I think they start, and I think they should start Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Panthers. And in that case, I'm actually more nervous about Fitzpatrick than I am against Jameis Winston because of the long ball. They have guys that can catch it. He can throw it.
Well, let me share something with you, and I'm going to use a clip from Stephen A. Smith. Let me be very, very clear here. I don't know if you saw what Dante Jackson did against John Brown, one of the best players to stretch the field in National Football League.
Played great, yeah.
Deshaun Jackson ain't stretching the field against us. He's a one-trick pony. He has 2 routes that he runs: straight route, post route. That's it. He might get a screen every now and again. I don't care. Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, I don't care who it is. He's not coming in. He's not going to come into Carolina. It's not going to happen.
Here's my honest. I hate to say this, but I think it's going to happen. I bet Djax gets one big one against the Panthers Sunday.
I bet you he won't.
Yep. And actually, yeah, I forgot about Dirk Cutter. When you put him into that, just starting Ryan Fitzpatrick does make it look like he's doing something. Like you have to think of the coach too. You know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing that makes it difficult for me to figure out what they're gonna do, because I don't know what that jerk is gonna do. He's an idiot. He's one of the worst coaches in the National Football League, so I don't know what he's gonna do. But from what I would see, normal, just like Blake Bortles' situation, right? They said, "Oh, we're gonna go with Kessler," and then come to find out they start Blake Bortles this morning against the Eagles. So I think it's one of those situations where you get. Here's the thing. Here's the best thing Fitzpatrick has going for him. When Jameis came back, the offensive players did not want Fitzpatrick benched. So that's the best thing he has going for him if he may be a starter next week. But as the head coach of that team, I would personally say, listen, the contract year for Jameis, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we do? Do we bench him and not give him an opportunity to play out his contract to see if he's worth investing into?
Another, great point. Like I was just saying, the coach also has to look like he's trying. So I mean, that might mean making a decision that he might not agree with, but you have to make it look like you're not just saying, I have faith in this guy to go out and not throw 4 picks again, even though he's probably going to the Panthers defense. So I think that plays into it too.
As a player, I'm going to come to you and say, okay, since Mike Evans can't get open on his routes anymore, bench him and replace him. Because if every time I make a mistake, I got to worry about getting benched, what are you doing for my mental right now? So every time somebody fumbles the ball, every time somebody tips my passes and calls an interception, every time a defensive player misses a tackle, you make sure you take them out. Because that's what you're telling me. You're telling me I can't, if I have a bad game, which every quarterback in the football league does, but if I have a bad game, or I'm still trying to gain chemistry, because don't forget, I didn't play the first 2 games of the season. So I'm still trying to get in rhythm while the rest of the league is already in rhythm. I'm trying to gain my rhythm, gain my chemistry, gain my confidence, and I got to worry about you yanking me? Wow. What does that do for me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to look at it from that way.
And there's a lot going on over there. And again, yeah, someone actually did remind us. Let's get back to our Panthers. But yeah, we're talking about the next opponent here. Djax did, of course, ask for a trade. Shaqued, you're right about that. So a lot brewing over there in Tampa. But, hey, we're just about out of time here. I got to go watch my Red Sox, by the way. Sweet Caroline season. one. We played one. We're gonna do two tonight when we take the series, Bobby. So
there we go.
But hey, Chris is on with us. Chris wants everyone to know that BOA now has banana pudding available in the concourse. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm not even mad about that.
That is amazing.
So
I think I'm gonna be down for the Tampa Bay game. So I think I'm gonna have to test that out.
So and hey, yeah, Chris is calling you out again. Vernon Butler did have a big fumble recovery today too. So we'll talk about that.
Oh my! I mean, he's like 8 feet wide. He should just fall right on the ball. I mean, come on, man. Like,
big play.
The only reason he got that fumble recovery is because like 3 people passed it. Like, stop.
Hey, final question. What's more likely, Den eating candy corn already? I'm done because that's not going to happen. Or the Saints losing to the Vikings tonight. I agree. The Saints are probably going to win tonight. What do you think, Bobby?
I mean, the Vikings are missing. Xavier Rhodes, Dalvin Cook, Sadejo, whatever his name is. They're missing a lot of guys, man. There's no way they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
I got the Saints winning this game.
I think that Sean Payton circled this game after doing the skull clap. I think that this is his Super Bowl, so we'll see. But hey, hop on with us this week. Again, we're on the Riot Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Check out our Riot Network family friends of One Day Contract. It is what it is. The Roaring Riot podcast. We'll be back with you Thursday. We're gonna talk about who won the picks. We all had a pretty good game today in picks, Bobby and Chris. So and Josh actually, Josh Gilmore joined us. Hey guys, for those of you that are on this post game, we invite you guys on to pick NFL games against us. Right now, I'm just kind of doing first come, first serve. We already have week 9. If you want to be on week 10, send me a DM at PounDENN. We'll put you in the mix. We'll throw you up, and if you beat us, I don't know what the prize is yet because no one has, but it'll be, I don't know, something cool. Maybe I already got my Anquan Bolden autograph, so we're playing for a jersey though, but we'll see. But hey, send me a message if you want to hop on week 10 and so forth. So we'll throw you on. Bobby, thanks for hopping on from the road tonight. Bobby called in.
For sure.
Always love hearing from you, even when it's from the road. And Chris is over there. Chris will be back on Thursday too. So again, check us out. Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. We're at the Keep PounDENN podcast, and we do this every post game. And hey, Panthers with a big win today at BOA. We'll try to do it again against the Bucks. And what I think will be Ryan Fitzpatrick. Bobby can't even talk. I think it's time to go. Go Red Sox, guys. We'll see you later in the week.